Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have Ollie with me. He's a captain for the under-14s of my club. And Ollie, do you want to say some stuff about yourself? An introduction?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Ollie. I am the under-14 club captain at North London. I've also played. I play for the Borough, and have had Middlesex trials in the past. Unfortunately, yet to get in. But yeah, it's a privilege to be here. I'm really excited.
Yeah, so you do play a bit of fifth 11, don't you? So do you want to share any knowledge you've gained from there? I'm pretty sure there's lots to learn.
Yeah, definitely. Getting to play with older people. Getting to play with certainly high standard at times. But I certainly found, discovered that you can make very good friends through for people who normally would be complete strangers to me. I wouldn't. It's not people I'd hang out usually with. But that was, it was a really nice, fun experience, a slightly more relaxed cricket, where you could try new things and make new friends.
Yeah, cricket is a very sociable game, isn't it? Because you're standing in the field or you've got these long matches, so you can't afford to have any animosity, I guess, between people.
Yeah, 100%, definitely.
So what else do you like to do in your free time? What hobbies do you have?
I mean, obviously, when I'm not playing cricket, I'm a very sociable person. I really like hanging out with friends whenever I can. Obviously, COVID hasn't really allowed me to do that much, but hopefully soon. But also, not many people know this about me, but I really enjoy editing.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know that. So yeah, so you learn something new every day, I guess. So except for cricket, what are your favourite sports?
I have in the past played a lot of different sports, but at the moment, cricket is sort of my main sport. I'll play a bit of football at school with friends, or rugby, but I've never taken another sport really seriously. But I've always quite enjoyed watching rugby.
Yeah, that's cool, because I think cricket is one of the hardest sports to get into because it's not as widely supported or widely, not as many people play it because you have I think 10 test playing nations, not a lot of test playing nations, so not many countries are into it. So it is because it's not as known or as widespread in its widespread in the play of it. I think it is quite a hard sport to get into. So how did you get into cricket?
I got into it through my dad. When I was very young, he and his brother played a annual game against each other called the Christening Cup, and I would go each year, and so I just remember standing on the boundary with this little plastic bat, and it just sort of came about that because I went every year. It kind of became a part of me in a way. My dad was always watching the cricket, so I was kind of not forced, but it would have been surprising if I hadn't got into it, because it was sort of from a young age a sport that was introduced to me.
Yeah, I think cricket is, I wouldn't say hereditary, but it definitely goes down in families, I guess. If your dad or one of your parents played it, then that's probably, then cricket is probably the sport that
Definitely.
You're going to get into, I guess. So I think, because you've played so many matches and you've had, so much experience, you'd probably understand the game, probably a lot better than me. So what did you think about the recent England tour of India?
Well, where do I start? Interesting. I think disappointing from England's side. However, you do look at India's test stats at home and they've lost 4 games in the last 10 years. So, they are a very, very strong home side and very strong test side overall. There's lots of individuals who learnt a lot from it. I thought Dan Lawrence benefited a lot, making 2 50s, I think, and then 1 in Sri Lanka. Or was it 1 in each? I can't remember. To have that confidence, to know that he scored a really convincing 50 in India against a really good side, it's great confidence for him. And I think overall they can learn a lot from it because, the pitches were interesting. Definitely benefited the spinners. And maybe some selection choices which could have been different, arguably, but looking in hindsight, But, I think they put up a good battle, and, India were the better side. And, I think overall they deserve to be going to the World Test Championship against New Zealand. I'd much rather them be there than over Australia. But bit of bias there.
Yeah, I think this is probably the first time Australians supported England, in
definitely.
any form. But there was this really funny article I read on ESPN cricket, on ESPN, and it was titled that India have the audacity to create such such spinning pitches, and then the audacity to have batsmen that know how to play against spin. I thought that was really funny because I think on the internet and everywhere there were lots of England fans that were talking about how the pitches were so bad and stuff like that. So did you think the pitches were substandard, or did you think the pitches were just what you'd expect from an Indian pitch?
Okay, when the home team will always have a pitch, they will always ask the groundsman to prepare a pitch that will benefit them. That's just part of the game. When India come here, we'll have pitches that benefit our seam bowlers. When we go there, the spinners, that's just how it works. They're used to playing spinners, they'll make a pitch that benefits them. So I don't think there was anything wrong with the pitches. I just think we didn't know how to play on them. We don't have enough experience. There's very few batsmen in that team who have experience. They're all very young.
India as well, they seem to be having a very young team too. It was in Australia, I think 3 players played all 4 test matches. And yeah, so India seem to be bringing in a lot of youngsters.
There's a lot of potential there.
Do you think that... so I think the population of 1.3 billion definitely helps out
Yes.
a lot. But do you think that England, they need to drop the squad rotation thing, where they just put in new players every match and just stick with
Yeah, I think especially against India, you can't go to India you have this whole thing about and at some point you need to see new players because you need to give them a go. You need to see how they perform in tough conditions. But when you're playing against the best test side in the world, you have to put out your strongest side, surely. If they had won the last 2 tests, they would have gone to the World Test Championship. Surely, just like in the World Cup, for the semis, they would have put out the best side. And I think that was certainly questionable. But, they must have had their reasoning behind it.
Yeah, because we did see I think Butler left after he only played 1 test, I think, and Moeen played the 2nd test and then was told to fly back to England, but then he was picked up by Chennai, so that would have been annoying for him. But I think it was weird. So many of the players didn't play, or they were just sent back, and there was I think the best word to describe it was chaotic, because some players would be in, out, and no one knew no one had any idea of what the squad would be. Ollie Stone, I don't think anyone even expected him to play the 2nd test, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Was it the 2nd? Yeah, so there were lots of players who no one expected to come along. So who do you think got the best out of India? Which England player got the best out of India?
Well, as I said earlier, I think Dan Lawrence got good confidence, personally, from it. I think he can be really pleased with his performance. I think Ruti did well in the 1st test in particular. I was slightly upset for Johnny Bairstow, disappointed. I think I think he was on a pair at one point, or I think he might have got a pair. And I think that would have been really devastating for his confidence. Along with Dom Bess, actually, being in and out of the squad, he's so young, he's had no experience. It does a lot to the mind, that. And, getting dropped from a side, just for being expensive is really tough. You have to take it, really. It's, to wear it. That's part of international sport, top-level sport.
Yeah, coming back to Joe Root, actually, he got a double century in the 1st match, but then ever since then he seems to have, dropped off a cliff, and but somehow he's still been getting among the highest scores for England in every match. So do you think that it's Joe Root being the best, or everyone else just not performing?
To be honest, I think everyone's just not performing. He did really well in Sri Lanka. You know, came to India double 100. I was thinking, okay, after winning that first test and how convincing and how well England played, I thought we've got a really good chance to win this test series. And that my decision was soon swayed. But I thought, I don't know, he's such a consistent player, and he's a remarkable player. He's very good. No one can deny that. I just think he, along with the rest of the team, didn't perform as well as they could have done. That was partly due to pitches they weren't used to. That was partly due to an excellent Indian side. But overall, that wasn't their best performance.
Yeah, so I think Root, though, his captaincy was good, but just the selection of the squad might have hindered him a bit. Do you agree, or do you think that his captaincy might need improvement?
I mean, I think his captaincy's improved so much over the last year or so. You know, when he first became captain, I slightly doubted the decision. I thought it would, really hinder him as a batsman, and he'd start having to think about all these extra things. And at one point, it did. I feel it got to him at one point. But I think since then he's really worked on it. He's worked on his decision making and how he can balance the captaincy over his own personal performance. I feel like I think he's a great captain. I just think the selection, which is partly his decision and partly Ed Smith's, or mainly Ed Smith's, was questionable.
Yeah. And there were concerns about him not converting his 50s to 100s, but I think he's definitely proved doubters wrong over the past few
100%.
months. And I think Root's done very well. It's just that the last few matches probably didn't suit England, especially seeing as how the tracks were probably something. They were probably completely new to England. They've probably not played on tracks like they did in the last few tests. But so what do you think is going to happen in the T20s? Because those are coming up soon.
I mean, if you've got Butler back, I think India over the next couple of years are going to dominate world cricket. I think they've got such a good side. They've got so many young kids coming into the side who have so much potential, along with the experience of the likes of Kohli. I think it should be a really interesting one-day series. I think England will come out on top. However, only if they put their best side out. If they do what they did with the tests, then India will win.
Yeah. Yeah, so do you think Bairstow is going to get a place in the T20s? Because I personally think that he definitely deserves a place in the T20 squads, because I do think that the IPL would have helped him out a lot, over the past few years, to play T20s in India. But do you think they're going to drop him after his recent performances?
I reckon they'll keep him. I think Roy and Bairstow as an opening pair, especially in one days, is so devastating to any side if they score, which is a lot of the time. Yeah. I think they have to back him. I just think he didn't perform in a test environment. Red ball, white ball, very different.
Yeah, and how about Dawid Malan? Do you think he's gonna put in a good performance?
I'm looking forward to see how he plays.
If he gets played.
I can't remember. Was he in the IPL last year? Yes, he was, wasn't he? Or not?
I don't think he played last year. I think he got taken this year, though.
I'm really excited. I think I think he's brilliant. I'm really excited to see him over the next couple of years. I'm not sure, though. Interesting to see how he fares under the conditions.
Yeah. So, do you think the bowlers are going to probably get a bit more... I don't know, do you think that England seamers are going to get a bit more out of the pitches in T20s? Because with the batsmen just going after them, I think the seamers might have a better chance than they did in the test matches. Yeah, but I think England, they just seem to be short on spinners, because Bess, they have Bess and Leach, and Bess is still quite young, so he's not experienced, and Leach is still only a test player. I don't think I've seen Bess play in the shorter formats for England.
I mean, they have Rashid, and I wouldn't have sent Mo home. I think he would have really benefited from those last two tests, and I think England would have really benefited from him as well. I think the pitches would have suited him.
Yeah, I think Rashid is definitely going to be one of the main players. Like, he's probably going to have a big impact in the T20s. So, yeah, England, I think they have good spinners. It's just that I think they don't select them, I guess. Like, Rashid, he didn't play test matches, that's fine. Moeen Ali, they didn't keep him. But I think it's more just their selection than who, I think it's more just their selection than their, I forgot the what. The squad depth. Yeah, I think it's more the selection than the depth.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Yeah, so moving on, what do you think is going to happen when India goes to England?
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I mean, pitches will benefit us. But I think it's all to play for. I think it's when you have the home advantage, I think they're two very good sides. And I think it should be a really, really interesting series, which I'm really looking forward to watching. Honestly, I have no idea how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
Just have to wait and see.
Because there should be, I think, crowds by that time in the stadiums. So, yeah, I think England will probably have a huge chance of victory. But, like, I don't think India could be counted out either, seeing as they have, like, Bumrah, Ishant Sharma, Mohammad Siraj.
Yeah.
They do have lots of good seamers. So I think it's all to play for. It's going to be, like, quite tight, I think, in England. More so than in India, I think, because the pitches are, like, not exclusively spin pitches like India. Or, like, no, sorry, they're not exclusively favouring one type of bowler.
Yes, I mean, I'd say definitely here they're favouring our seamers. But there is the element, obviously, depending on the team selection, which they'll base on the pitch. There could be something for the spinners.
Yeah. And do you think that England will be looking to change their tactics, I guess, in terms of their squad selection, or do you think they'll just stay with rotation?
I don't know. I think they have to, hopefully they've realised, I think they just have to learn from the fact that they have to find a new way of testing these younger players in a competitive environment. Obviously, at some point you're going to have to get them into a test match, into a test side. But they just need to figure out a way of allowing the team to be the strongest it can possibly be.
So that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our latest content. Also click the bell icon to stay up to date with us. So, I'll see you guys next time. Meow.